So what was the question again? Oh, why is it called the traffic jam? Well, you know, the reason is, it's because I have two really cool cars. Seriously cool cars. And I love drifting, racing, because I am fast and slick, and plus I like to create a bit of traffic jam myself with a whole lot of great music. Bulumnaka, my name is Real, your host and DJ, right here on the Today FM Traffic Jam every weekday from 3 p.m. to 7. Right here on Today FM, today's hit music.
In this bulletin, leading apparel manufacturer wins Exporter of the Year award on its 25th anniversary. Chinese president departs after successful meetings with Fijian and regional heads of states. And Fiji is ushering a new era, says regional academic following state visit of leaders of India and China. Good evening, I'm Jackie Spate and this is FBC News. A renowned quality apparel manufacturer has scooped the 2014 Westpac Prime Minister's Exporter of the Year award. Mark 1 Apparel has won the prestigious prize as one of the leading exporters in the country. Christopher Chand reports.
He continues to adapt to new opportunities and challenges, leading exporters.
It's one annual event exporters look forward to. It's the night when their contributions to the Fijian economy is recognized and rewarded.
Our exports have been growing steadily. Our exports are expected to have grown by 8% in 2014, and we expect them to go even further next year and beyond.
Bainimarama says last week's visit by the two leaders of the most populous countries in the world is a sign of a new era in confidence and trade.
As you know, our foreign reserves are strong. They currently stand at $1.8 billion, enough to cover around 4.6 months of imports. Our foreign reserves import cover has consistently been above 4 months since 2009. Never before have we maintained such a strong foreign reserves position for 5 consecutive years.
In total, 17 companies were recognized, the main prize going to Mark 1 Apparel.
I've promised the industry that the next 10 years would be a $500 million export business rather than just a paltry $100 million as it is now. We have a future. We have a government in place today that is pragmatic. It wants the best for us all.
It's been a remarkable year for the company. Today they celebrate their 25th anniversary as one of the leading exporters in Fiji. Christopher Chand, FBC News.
China has pledged close to 50 million Fijian dollars in development aid to Fiji following President Xi Jinping's bilateral talks with Prime Minister Vurengam Bainimarama. China is also giving out $1 billion as infrastructure development for Pacific Island countries. Christopher Chand again with this report.
President Xi has announced further financial grants following bilateral meetings which were held in Nandi yesterday.
And in his bilaterals with our Prime Minister today, offered more development assistance to Fiji, and one of which is an additional 70 million RMB to the 80 million that was offered in August in Nanjing City when our President, His Excellency Ratu Pelina Latikau, visited Beijing upon invitation of the President himself. So in total it's close to about 50 million Fijian.
China's 3-day visit to the country to meet with 8 Pacific Island countries who support the One China policy has been hailed as a success. Tonga has proposed a regional bank be established to help island states develop infrastructure.
Well, it's still very premature at this stage. As you know, China has offered $1 billion infrastructure fund, which, of the details, we still need to see the details.
President Xi has pledged 2,000 scholarships and 5,000 places for various studies and trainings in the next 5 years for island countries. China and Fiji signed 6 agreements yesterday, further enhancing diplomatic ties with the exemption of visa.
China is the country that opened its doors after 2006, and they have assisted Fiji in a lot of ways. So that's the importance that Fiji attaches to this visit, and to China as a whole, that they have been our friends when we needed someone to assist us.
President Xi's historical visit to Fiji underlines China's intention to develop strong ties with their allies in this part of the world. China has welcomed Pacific countries to take a ride in the express train to development. Christopher Chand, FBC News.
A regional academic says Fiji's profile on the world stage has been enhanced with the recent state visits by the political leaders of India and China. USP's Dr. Sandra Tart says Fiji is heralding in a new era, increasing its political influence not only on the global front, but in the region as well. Maggie Boyle reports.
It's been a historic week for Fiji, with not one but 2 of the world's renowned leaders visiting our islands. The Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi, followed by the Chinese President Xi Jinping.
Big challenge for Fiji has always been finding new export markets and diversifying our export markets. And I think China's announced in recent times some ways of encouraging exports to their market, and India perhaps will be another opening for us. We obviously are interested in investment as well, and technical cooperation, but Fiji doesn't rely on aid so much as our neighbouring countries. Fiji relies on trying to develop its infrastructure. It's using loans for that. It's trying to diversify its markets and so on.
And while these high-level visits are spinning Fiji to a global audience, Tart notes the armour it lends to Fiji as a regional power.
The opportunity has now arisen for these leaders from neighbouring countries, some of whom haven't been to Fiji for quite some time, are able to come. And it creates openings there for us in the region, because what Fiji doesn't want to do is be presumptuous of its leadership role without bringing countries behind it. And it needs to have the support of the countries in the region.
Heralding in a new era, Tart says while this is as much about India and China broadening their influence in the region, it also sets the platform for a new Fiji.
What it means is that Fiji can be a little bit more independent in its actions. It's not necessarily going to be influenced or feel pressured to follow policy agendas that might be set by Australia and New Zealand, as has been in the past, particularly through the Pacific Islands Forum.
Politically, Fiji will now have more heads turning. Also, economic windfalls are expected, with a possible influx of Asian tourists preceding these 2 high-level visits. Maggie Boyle, FBC News.
And President Xi left this morning following his 3-day visit to Fiji. This is the first time the Chinese head of state has been to our shores. President Xi has previously visited Fiji in 2009 when he was the vice president. His visit has further strengthened China's diplomatic relations with Fiji, which was established in 1975. President Xi was accorded a farewell at Nadi Airport this morning. Prime Minister Vorengen Bainimarama, President Ratu Epelina Latikau and cabinet ministers were at the airport for his departure. Coming up, 30 Fijian workers will be employed for seasonal work in New Zealand in a pilot scheme from next February.
Niara di sambulu bidang na sero gori sana na chukuri kira na borong chumai. Tuna sile. Di sambula, oyo Mr. Ben. Ela pa. Na magkikira na film mataka mo ni chikira borong buka may na ono kina diwa na buro FM. Ambala.
Welcome back. This is FBC News. Police in Nausori are appealing for information that could help identify a woman whose body was found floating in the Rewa River in the Nayala subdivision area. A 28-year-old woman who was diving for freshwater mussels discovered the body yesterday afternoon. The victim is an adult female Fijian of Indian descent and is aged between 45 to 55 years. She is 4 feet 9 inches tall, of fair complexion, and has long black hair. She was wearing a blue and white dress with a key pinned to the front of her dress. A post-mortem examination to determine the cause of the victim's death can only be conducted once she is identified by next of kin. Fiji and New Zealand will sign an agreement next month to set out the recognised seasonal worker scheme between the two countries. In a pilot phase of the scheme, 30 workers from Fiji will be employed for seasonal work in Hawke's Bay, Bay of Plenty and Nelson. The first placement of workers from Fiji will be in February 2015. Foreign Minister Mari Makali and Ratu Inoke Kumbombola noted that the RSE scheme is employer-driven. It has a strong track record of delivering benefits to the New Zealand economy, along with income and skills for the Pacific Island workers, their communities and countries. Makali says Fiji's participation in the scheme is consistent with the program of re-engagement between New Zealand and Fiji. The ministers who met last Friday say they look forward to the next formal foreign policy consultations early in 2015. Once it was a luxury to eat a slice of cake, but that indulgence is now a more affordable treat. In this week's Successful Fijian segment, Rashika Kumar looks at how a family-run venture has used this favourite to become one of the biggest names in the cake business.
Rosie Hart's Cake Shop is a family-run business that understands very well that the centre of any celebration is the cake. Our former bank employee Mahendra Nair and his wife Urmila started off their business almost a decade ago. Mahendra looks after the finances and Urmila has recently been joined by a son, and together they create designs in the cakes.
We started building clienteles, and so just because the children are small, she was stuck at home, right? As soon as they started going to school, she said, "Now, why don't we open up a cake shop?" I said, "Okay." And I was still working with the bank in 1999, and then I left the bank in 2003 to see. We had the cake shop, so we opened up a wine and dine restaurant. So I left the work and we started basically building on that.
Today there are 4 branches in Suva and Nosori.
Most of our oven, fridge and all these things came from home. We did not have much capital with us. So we brought that in and we started with those items. And slowly we put in all the profits back in the business and started buying bigger ovens and all these things, right?
Nair owes the success of the business to 3 main pillars: quality, service and good advertising.
The sponge cake, they were used to it, but at the end of the day, when we started this, people ate that our cakes are basically homemade style, tasty ones. So if you've eaten it, you'll know. Right? And that is basically the 3 aspects. You give quality, you give good service, and you advertise so that people know. Right?
So nice, so sweet cake from here, and very tasty.
It's very tasty, very nice.
Nair hopes to open 2 more shops in Suva in the future and possibly 1 in Samoa. He is also planning to go into real estate business.
Real estate is something that the asset is there, and the property business says that the value doesn't go down, it always goes up. So that's something that you don't have to, you buy a property, you either get in rent out of that. You don't have to do too much running around like that.
Nair's advice to upcoming businessmen is to never compromise on the quality, manage finances well and to have a good advertising strategy. Even when times are difficult, people will find a reason to celebrate, and a cake will be at the center of celebrations. For this family, cake business is certainly one sweet business, and seeing their customers return gives them a lot of satisfaction. Rashika Kumar, FBC News.
The community of Serea Naitasiri recently witnessed a unique and extraordinary funeral. Villagers, relatives and friends gathered to pay their last respects to Jafar Ali, also known as Chone. Ali was born into an Ithauke family and passed away as a Muslim. As per his last wishes, about 150 people gathered at Ali's village for his funeral according to the Islamic final burial rites. A Christian prayer service was conducted by the pastor of the local Methodist church, followed by a hymn sung by the village women. This was followed by citations from the Holy Bible and then handing over of the final burial rites that was performed by the Muslims and witnessed by the whole village. Ali is survived by his family in Sere village. Coming up on FBC Sports, Ben Ryan counts on Jerry Tuwai to give sterling performance at Dubai Sevens, and Flying Fijians notch a lone win in Northern Tour, beating USA Eagles this morning.
छू 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 हे नमस्ते फीजी, आपके हर एक प्रॉब्लम की दवा लेकर मैं आ गई हूँ 9 से 12 बजे तक आपकी सहेली रेनू। छू 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 40 में 20 का दिखना है। मैं हूँ ना आपके साथ में मिर्ची एफएम पर 9 से 12 बजे तक मंडे टू फ्राइडे। मिर्ची, इट्स हॉट।
Welcome back. This is FBC Sports. National Sevens rep Jerry Tuwai is expected to deliver sterling performance at the Dubai and South Africa Sevens next month. Tuwai made a grand debut at the Gold Coast Sevens last month, captivating the crowd with his elusive sidestep, and his coach is expecting another gallant performance next month. Charlen Daudakadaka reports.
He had been knocking on selection doors for 2 years and was finally rewarded with a call-up to the Oceania and Gold Coast Sevens in Australia last month. Nippy halfback Jerry Tuwai put on a mesmerizing display in the opening leg, which has made him one of the players to watch out for in the new season.
Now he's significantly fitter. Yeah, hit 20 in the yo-yo, which I'm very happy about. His body shape, he's leaner now. All of that's come at a little bit of a price. You know, last week, 2 weeks ago, he was completely worn out. You know, the whole thing got on top of him, I think. And we just took him away from training for a bit, revitalised him, energised him, and he's back and up and running, and, you know, still incredibly hard to defend.
Tuwai has had to work even harder to make the cut for the upcoming leg of the series, and Ryan has put in some extra effort into tweaking some of his skills and knowledge to supplement his natural talent.
I've been working hard on his decision making, his maturity, his defensive capabilities, his workaround as a sweeper, his set piece, his line out throws. He's been great. I mean, Marist Rugby Club, all the guys that have worked with him, you know, they should be patting themselves on the back about this guy's development over the last 6-12 months, because it's been, you know, he's been a huge success story.
Tuwai's rise to success has been nothing short of amazing from his humble beginning in the Newtown suburb in Nasinu. The Dubai Sevens is 2 weeks away, and fans can expect another solid display from this small yet elusive halfback. Charlen Daudakadaka, FBC Sports.
The Vodafone Flying Fijians has managed to end its Europe tour with a win after fighting off a determined effort from the USA Eagles. 2 tries to winger Watisoni Votu and a solo effort try to fullback Timothy Nangusa saw the national side earn its first win in 3 games. Coach John McKee will perhaps be disturbed by the careless infringements which led to 3 yellow cards during the tour. Nevertheless, the 2014 Europe tour has identified the potential our players have and the work that is needed before competing in the Rugby World Cup next year. The game was played in France this morning. The Vodafone Fiji under-20 football side has settled for the 6th spot in the President's Cup in New Zealand. The side was thumped 3-0 by Bodden Town of the Cayman Islands today. The 3rd and 4th place playoffs is underway between Singapore under-23 and Busaitan. Auckland City will take on Amikal of Vanuatu in the final. Chess players from various schools converged at Tapu City in Suva today for the national team's event. The competition pits players into groups of 3 as they battle for the top honours. Charlen Daudakadaka has more.
This young group of players are students from Din Bandu Primary School that came to compete in the national team's event. The 6 students were inspired by their teacher Ravikesh Kumar to have a go at the popular board game.
As soon as we knew this was a school teams competition, and I just had my own two kids who were playing, and then I approached the head teacher for Din Bandhu Memorial School, and he was very helpful, and he gave me 4 more students, and then we were able to field 2 teams in this tournament.
Year 11 student James Zhang of International School Suva has been competing in local tournaments for 2 years now and says the level of competition continues to improve.
Really tough. There are some new players, and the old players are very, very tough. They're experienced chess players, and it really takes a lot of effort to beat them. So it's all about the mind connection.
13 teams competed in the one-day tournament as a build-up to the national championships next month. Officials were happy with the turnout and believe this bodes well for the development of the game in the country. Chalendo Takatak, FBC Sports.
Some showers were experienced over the Lao Group, the eastern and interior parts of the larger islands today. Elsewhere, fine weather apart from isolated afternoon or evening showers prevailed. A tropical depression lies slow-moving just to the west of Tokelau. Meanwhile, a trough of low pressure remains slow-moving north of Rotuma and extends southeastwards over Wallace and Fortuna. Minimum temperatures of 22 and 24 degrees were recorded today. The highest temperature was recorded in Nadi with 34. Tomorrow's forecast. Forecast to midnight tomorrow for the Fiji group, some showers over Vanua Levu, Taveuni and nearby small islands, Lomaiviti and northern Lao group, the eastern and interior parts of other larger islands. Elsewhere, fine apart from possible afternoon or evening showers. And Tuesday's outlook, some showers over the interior and eastern parts of the larger islands, possible afternoon or evening showers elsewhere. And the main points again. Mark 1 Apparel takes out PM's Exporter of the Year award on its 25th anniversary. Prime Minister Vorenge Bainimarama urges exporters to look at markets beyond the Pacific. And President Xi Jinping of China returns home after a successful state visit where foreign relations were further strengthened with Fiji and other Pacific Island countries. To our poll question now, we're asking, is Fiji's recognition in the international fora improving? Visit our FBC website, www.fbc.com.fj, to take part. Remember, you can send us newsworthy pictures and videos on email citizenseyes@fbc.com.fj or share it with us via Facebook page FBC News. And if you're on Twitter, follow and tweet us your news tips at FBC News or simply hashtag FBC News. Or you can find us on YouTube at Fbctv 2011. That's the bulletin for today. Don't go away. Coming up after news is For the Record. USP academic Dr. Sandra Tat talks about the significance and implications of the recent visit of 2 of the world's most powerful leaders to Fiji. So be sure to join Edwin Nunn for more on that right after this. For now, from the team and I, till tomorrow, good evening.
Isang mula na borong cuma nama tadi kau ni rawan ini bimbang nama tadi kau misal apa? Ni ada di sambul bidang nasi rawan di sana. Cuma kira nama borong cuma. Tu nasi le. Ni sambul lah. Oh ya, Mr. Ben. Kenapa? Nama kira nama bimbang tak kamu ni kira borong bukan main orang. Kena dia. Enak bulu FM. Apa tu?